Hey, here we are.
Hello, John.
Hello, Susie. It's Monday night. Once again. It's funny how that happens, eh?
I know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rush sometimes, just getting everything together, getting on and, jumping on and getting ready to go. But here we are. And also, sharing is caring. I encourage people to share this broadcast.
That drink was early.
That was a nice drink. So listen, I encourage people to share. The reason being is because when you share, it goes to more people. Mm-hmm. And what a shame if the things that the Lord is giving us isn't available to more people, at least for their curiosity to look at. Mm-hmm. So I just want to encourage people.
There's more people out there than just the organizations.
That's right.
That are searching.
People are looking for truth, especially when everything's, a little bit imbalanced and not aligned at the moment.
Yeah.
But we won't go down that road tonight.
No.
So, So if you're looking for us, you can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Podomatic, Heart Radio, all kinds of different platforms, as well as Facebook, YouTube, and The Journey, so that you're able to watch it visually or hear it audibly on a podcast if you're at the gym working out and getting into good shape. So it's also available there, or driving down the road in a truck like Eddie, right? Mm-hmm. You can check it out. And then you got time to kind of dial into it, and sometimes you need to listen to things more than once just to kind of catch the drift of what's really going on. Mm-hmm. So we just encourage you. And ponder it all, just like Mary pondered. So if you want to find us on YouTube, there we are. For those watching visually, it's www.youtube.com/G Grace and T Truth, J, B Brown. The reason I give you this address is because if you just try to go to John Brown, you'll get a guy with a little more color and probably a little more Pentecostal than I, which isn't bad if that's what you want to do. But if you want to come here, you can get it through this site. And on that site, there is a whole catalog of different messages on different things to help you grow, help you, be stretched. So also, we have a website, which is www.hcm-strafford.org. Also, www.hcm-strafford.com.
W.
Hey, what?
W.
Did I say W?
W.
I'm an American, eh? A? An American Canadian, hear that? .com. We have it as well, but it will take you to this site. It's that it will help the people that think, because .com is pretty common, and that way they know to go there, right? Mm-hmm. So this is our website. And the beauty about the website is you can get more material on Sue and I, and also on the things we've been about and who we are, and about the manuals, which is really good because God's been downloading since 2011. Well, probably 11. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about it till 11. Let's put it that way. He was already doing it, but I didn't know. So, which has now been, 12 years since the manuals began. And we are now on the 9th one. which is the journey across the bridge from objectivity to subjectivity, to staring at the pizza in the distance to eating it. We've heard a lot about pizza. It's like the bread of life, you know. Everybody talks about it.
Should eat the Godfathers.
That's right. That's good, Susie.
Yeah, did you like that?
Yeah, it was good. So, yeah, so you can find out more on us there. And there's also a donation button that goes to PayPal, which is a safe place to donate to support this ministry. If you believe in what we're doing and want to be a part of keeping us going, that's the place to go.
Even if you don't believe what we're doing, still do it.
There you go. That's not a bad idea. It still keeps us going.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. So it's good to be back. And Norlene says hi.
Hey, Nor.
Hey, Nor.
Welcome.
Welcome. So it's going to be an interesting night as we talk about timelines and the awakening, which is really about time. It's about time.
It is about time.
It's about
and you know what else it's about time to do?
What?
It's about time to love.
It is.
With all the war and stuff going on in the Middle East,
Yeah.
I would just throw out this one comment
Sure.
and caution people to
Yeah.
make sure that you just don't love Israel, but that you love the Palestinians too.
Yes.
Because those are real people, they're real families, they're children, and they're suffering as much as the others.
Yes. Both sides.
And it's very hard to stay neutral, to love both and not judge one and not the other. So that's my message for tonight.
That's very good.
Thank you.
I mean, no, think about it.
I mean, it's just what we need to do.
It is what we need to do. Love unconditionally like our Father who is in heaven.
I just had to say that because, boy, oh boy, you scroll down Facebook and it's like
I know.
the message that you read from, hate to say it, the church really makes you scratch your head sometimes.
It does. Like if you're living in Palestine and thus Palestinians,
Yeah.
and you're getting told you have to leave, so all you got is some blankets in your car and you got to leave everything you own. Think about that.
Yeah.
Leave everything you own.
Well, you said that to me the other night, laying in bed. It'd be like, all of a
Us.
sudden you've got your home, your family, your nice little life going on.
Yep.
And guess what, guys? You're about to be bombed. You need to just pick up, take nothing with you, and get out.
Get out now.
And I thought about
Or you're dead.
I thought about that for a couple of minutes, and it's like your heart really starts to connect and go, oh my gosh. Like
This
it's
is real.
It's over there, so you don't tend to like hold it in your face too closely.
Right.
But man, when you really think about it, that's devastating.
That's
like
right.
more than devastating.
So it doesn't matter whether you're an Israeli or a
When?
Palestinian. These are the people
Yeah.
that are suffering because of wars and political things that are injustice.
Mm-hmm.
And God calls us to love unconditionally. God doesn't have favorites. I hate to break it to you.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that he's no respecter of persons. What's that mean?
Yeah.
He's God of love. He is love. And so he wants us to recognize these are people, real people,
Yeah.
in real time. And our hearts go out to both sides
Exactly.
in the midst of this, just like Russian people and Ukrainian people.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we've got some Ukrainian people that are at my workplace. And,
Yeah.
the one dear lady doesn't hardly speak any English.
Mm.
And that's your first hurdle. And now she's trying to set up a life because she's been driven from her country
And her home.
and her home and is here. And, so she's a cook serving the food in our long-term care home, and her boss or the leader of the kitchen was training her, and she was all nervous and said, "Oh, I'm so afraid, just so afraid to be alone and do the job without you here."
Mhm.
And he was telling me this, and he said, I just looked at her and said, "You have nothing to be afraid of, my dear. You have left a country where there's all this killing, and you don't even know if you're going to live the next day. You have nothing to be afraid of in this job.
No.
You just relax. Everything's okay."
Yeah.
And you don't know what these people are carrying, what they came
What they
with.
go through, the
Oh
trauma
my gosh. Yeah.
that they've carried.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, that was my intro.
Okay.
Okay.
All
And
right.
John, what's on your heart tonight?
Well, let's see.
Come on. Tell it like it is. There is no other way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's timelines, and the awakening we're going to go into.
Okay.
So the scripture tells us, Susan, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that is was, and everything that will be has been. A couple of scriptures to show that in a couple of different versions. One in the New American Standard. What has been, it is what will be. And what has been done, it will be done. So there's nothing new under the sun. And in the New King James Version, that which is being is what will be. That which is done is what will be done, and there's nothing new under the sun. Now, the funny thing about that is we've lived with a bit of a Darwinian understanding. Whether we believe in it or not, we think for some reason we are the most sophisticated, advanced society that's ever lived.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is, it's not true. There were probably societies long ago, Atlantis, that were way beyond us.
Mm.
Some went wrong, and they ended up in the bottom of the ocean. So there's something that we want to learn here, because as we advance in technology and all of these things, we think that it's new. None of it's new.
No.
There's things so advanced.
It's advanced to us.
It's advanced to us in our time, in our history, as long as we've known. But even that has been tampered with, our history.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even know exactly what went on 4,000 years ago in Egypt,
Yeah.
what they knew. And so we want to be open to God. Remember, to be like a child, a wordless infant, teachable. So I like what Albert Einstein says. He goes, concerning matter, we've been all wrong. What we have called matter is energy, whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. Matter is spirit, reduced to the point of visibility. There is no matter. That's hard for us to understand. He's coming from a scientific point of view or a physicist. But it's really good to take all of these things in and look at them. Mm-hmm. Time and space, he said, are not conditions in which we live. They're modes in which we think. That's very interesting. He says
A pondering thought.
they're not real. Time does not exist, he said. We invented it. Time is what the clock says. The distinction between the past, present, and future is only a stubborn, persistent illusion. Our separation from each other is an optical illusion. I thought that was powerful because of what sin is. When something vibrates, he says, the electrons of the entire universe resonate with it. Everything is connected. Now he's talking about quantum mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest tragedy of human existence is the illusion of separateness. Wow. This is where he came to. See, remember, sin is separation. It's an illusion, as we are actually in sacred unity, which is what Jesus called God. When he said the word God, he didn't say the word God. That's our translations. He said sacred unity. He's talking about no separation. I am in the Father, the Father's in me, and we're one. Mm-hmm. He's trying to tell us something, but then we used a German word meaning good and call it God, and that's what we were given. And then we become bound by that without understanding what it means. Reality Einstein says, is merely an illusion, a persistent one, though. That means our idea of what reality really is. And when you want to know the truth, then God begins to awaken you and take you on a journey out of the illusion towards the truth. But it's a little like a plant that gets pulled up out of the ground and the roots get shook. All the dirt gets shaken off. It's a little bit, that deconstruction's a little freaky until he replants you in him,
Yeah.
which is all a part and parcel of your mind,
Right.
because you're not going anywhere. One thing he says I've learned in a long life, that all our science measured against reality is primitive and childlike. We still do not know 1,000th of 1% of what nature has revealed to us. It's entirely possible, he goes, that behind the perception of our five senses, worlds are hidden of which we are totally unaware. And he's right.
I agree.
The heavens, God created the heavens. They're all around us dimensionally, but we're totally unaware because we see 0.05% of the light spectrum. We're in pitch black almost,
Yeah.
and we think we see.
Yeah.
Moses asked God his name, and he said, I am. I am that I am. That's in the moment, there. I am.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus said to me, when he started to wake me up, he goes, my presence is me in the present. The present. Remember what Einstein said about the past and the future. These are delusions.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to live in the present where Christ is? Where the Father says, I am. If we're not in the present, then we're not where he is.
And where are you?
We're in separateness.
Yeah.
We've separated ourselves.
Adam, where are you?
Adam, where are you? That's good. Yes.
He separated.
He separated in his mind from
That's
the
right.
truth.
Yeah.
The Bible is written about now. What is? Not Greek linear as a history book, which creates separation again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's really interesting that there's a book called the Zohar. And the Zohar says this: the narratives of the doctrine are its cloak. It's a coat it's wearing.
Mm-hmm.
The doctrines are just a coat.
Mm-hmm.
The simple look only at the garment. Upon the narrative of the doctrine, more they do not know. So it's like they just look at the outside of it and they judge everything by that. They have no idea what's actually written. It's like having a book and only looking at the cover. Never look inside it.
Or like the dream I had when I seen the coats up in the sky. It was like, oh man, these coats. I saw a bunch of coats just sitting up in the sky and
Yeah.
colorful, beautiful coats. And I looked around and all kinds of people were just standing there going, like they're just amazed because of this phenomena in the sky
Yeah.
and these coats, and they were fading in and out and in and out. It was quite a sight. But then the Lord said to me, look this way over here. They're all focused in one direction, but you need to look over here. And I just realized how the masses all get turned into one
Yes.
thing, but there's usually something else going on.
So there's a whole doctrine about Israel, and everybody's looking at the war over there. Maybe we should look the other way, because maybe those that are the puppeteers are doing something else, and that's to keep us looking at the coats. That's what goes on,
Yeah. That
right?
dream was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was so young when I had that, but hey, it's like, just write it as it is.
And it's powerful.
Yeah.
So the instructed, it says in the Zohar, however, see not merely the cloak, but what the cloak is covering. The Bible is written in code to be unveiled to the little child who seeks to know the truth and enters into sacred unity in the divine. There it is, what Jesus was talking about. Sacred unity in the divine, in the immortal world. But as long as we're looking at the outside and worried about fixing up the coat, we're completely blind. And the modern church has inherited merely the cloak. They're not looking what's under it. They're held to that. And that's what the deconstruction and reconstruction is all about for those that are unsatisfied with the cloak and want to know more, right? Want to know, what is this really all about? And God is revealing things in dreams if we'll pay attention to all of us.
Oh, yeah.
So the Gospel of Thomas says this. The disciples asked Yeshua one day, they said, tell us, what will be our end? And it's funny, eh? The church is still asking the question. And they're writing books, left behind, all this stuff constantly. He tells us, Yeshua answers, what do you know of the beginning? So that you now seek the end. He says, where the beginning is, the end will also be. Blessed are those who abide in the beginning, for they will know the end and will not taste death. Powerful words.
Yeah.
Will not taste death. If you search for the beginning, that's where the end is. The end is in the beginning.
Which is really saying, who are you? Find out who you are.
That's right.
Right?
That was where we started, where we'll end.
Because we think who we are has an end.
Yeah. And we don't. We're immortal.
Exactly. Yes.
So life cannot die any more than death can live. When you realize this, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. Remember, God is the creator. He's omniscient. He's all-powerful. He's all-knowing. He did this. Did we think he lost control? No. Do we think that this is not a purpose and a plan? It is. But it's up to us to make a choice, recognize where we are, and desire to know the truth. Right? And he'll take you to it. Things are not as they appear. They're not as they appear. They're not the cloak. The Bible's not what you think it is. It's a book of code. It's all hidden within it for those that want to see. It always says, for those that have eyes to see and those that have ears to hear, let them hear what the Spirit is saying. And it's not what you're reading, because that was all written in a way to hide it. For only the one that would really desire truth, because information puffs up, truth humbles and reveals. And that's what he calls us. So ignorance, that means being in darkness, is the cause of all evil and serves death. That's what it's serving for lunch, right? Look at the cemeteries. Nothing has been or ever will be born from ignorance. Those who live in vigilance will be happy when the truth is revealed. You have to be vigilant about this and want it, but it takes a place of humbling yourselves, because the more I know, the less I know. The ocean's deep, right? But I got to be willing to dive.
Yeah.
I got to want the truth, and he'll give it. That's his greatest passion.
Yeah.
So while hidden truth is like ignorance, it keeps to itself. But when it is revealed, it is recognized and glorified. For it is more powerful than ignorance and error. It brings freedom. The Logos said, if you know the truth will make you free. Ignorance is slavery. We're stomping bricks in Egypt, man. We're stomping bricks in Egypt. the Savior came. The Savior's here.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm the way. Whew, the truth. Seek the truth. And then you'll come to life, the Father of all things.
Yeah.
So, knowledge is known as gnosis. This is not information. This is experiential revelation. Gnosis is freedom. The experience brings you into the freedom. When we recognize the truth, we taste its fruits ourselves. When we unite with truth, it shares its fullness, called the pleroma, with us. The fullness of the Spirit is given to us. Gnosis is not a system, not another ideology through which we are to interpret and understand the world. On the contrary, it means opening our eyes to what we already are looking at, right in front of us, not searching somewhere else. Are you ready? Heaven, the kingdom of God, is there where I am. It's here right now. It's not in the sky somewhere. That's a demonic lie to keep you in separation from God and trying to be good enough to get there. Instead of realizing that God is omnipresent right here, that I live and move and have my being in him, that I'm one with him, that I'm in the Father and the Father is in me, and we are one. And if I would start to believe that and start to embrace that, then I'll start to experience that, and then I'll enter in through the narrow gate of truth to the Father who is life. He's calling us. But we got to let go of the delusion, the illusions that came through the spirit of religion and the control of the puppet masters to come to this. But it's going to take courage to do it. It takes courage to choose love over hatred, separation, judgment. We got to choose love. That's who he is. Time is not linear like we think. It only seems that way because we've been programmed by death, which is an illusion. In Hebrew understanding, time is in a circle. Alpha and Omega, Alpha and Omega. Where's the beginning? At the end. Alpha and Omega, Alpha and Omega. What are they trying to tell us? It's a circle. Think of this for a minute. 7 is the number of completion. In the scripture, the number 7 is a powerful number. There's 7 days of creation, 7 days in a week, 7 golden lampstands, 7 steps on Jacob's ladder. Then they come to the 8th, and the 8th is new beginning, or the number, if you draw it, it's known as the number of infinity, which was the sign of the covenant that God cut with himself. What? While Abraham was put to sleep. Who? Adam was put to sleep. The human race was put to sleep until they awaken from glory to glory to the beginning in the Father, who is unconditional love. That's what this is about. And the Father did it. You see, that was a picture of what's going on right now. God cut covenant with us. Isn't this exciting? God cut covenant with us. The picture, the allegorical picture was Abraham. He put him to sleep. Adam, he put to sleep. The human race is asleep.
Yeah.
He cut covenant. Covenant means he's responsible to himself, not another man.
To finish
that which he began, and he will, because he's responsible unto himself. It's amazing. What greater love is this?
We were his idea.
We were his idea.
And did he goof?
No, he didn't at all.
You're not a goof up.
Nope. So here we are in this place where we're asleep and we're awakening. Adam, where are you? We're awakening to what God did. It's amazing. It's simply amazing. So now what I'd like to do is share, between Sue and I, share a few testimonies of time and then go somewhere with it. So I had a car accident when I died in 1974. And at that time, I'm not going to go into the whole thing except to what we're speaking about tonight. As I returned to my body, I recognized that it was like sand going through an hourglass, but it was going up instead of coming down. So for years, I didn't understand it. It's like things were being veiled from me. It's like I'm coming down into my body, and things that were spoken to me were being veiled. They were going up, and I couldn't. I remember saying, I got to remember this. I got to remember this. I'm 19. Nobody is going to believe this, right? And so then it was just recently that I started thinking about, God reminded me of it again, because I thought, okay, so it's veiled. One of these days he's going to open the veil and begin to reveal this to me. Well, I realized something about it. Maybe that's starting to happen now, because what he did is he said this. He said that it was do you realize he said that you were looking at like an egg timer? And an egg timer, it tells you, what you do is you flip it over, and it tells you when the egg is finished, right? It's usually 10 minutes. You flip it over and the sand goes through. Is that what it is?
I think those little ones were like a 3-minute
Oh,
timer.
were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
So
they came out with the windy eggs that I think could go longer.
Oh, okay.
You just turned them. But yeah.
So it was like when it had sifted all through,
Yeah.
it was finished, right?
Yeah.
But what was funny was mine was going up. So I realized what he was saying was, this has to do with time, John. The egg timer is to do with time. And I was returning to this timeline from the future. That's where I was. I was in my future. And I was coming back into this one.
In the car accident.
Yes.
You're saying, yeah.
In the car accident. I went to the age to come, or the seventh day is where I went. And I was now coming back into this time.
This timeline.
This timeline.
Right.
It's about timelines. And as I was coming back into this timeline, I was seeing it go up because it was my future. And also I was recognizing that I was being given more time. The egg timer's filling up.
Yeah.
Up top.
It wasn't coming to a finish.
No, it's not over, John.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it was a powerful revelation. And the Lord reminded me, that's how this all came about for tonight. He reminded me in the middle of the night last night about that moment. And he said, this is what I want to break open. I want you to, yes.
Sorry, eggs break open. Sorry, guys.
That's good. He wanted me to show, though, that I had went into the future. Now, I realize about past, present, and future, we're going to pull this together shortly. But I want you to see something. There's a journey. This is called the journey. There's a journey from the first day to the seventh day to completion. There's a journey through the way to the truth to the life to living and moving in the Father. And so this is a progressive journey. And so what he did is he took me to the end of the journey in the car accident into the seventh day, into Dad, and revealed everything to me, right? And then as I came back into this timeline of which I'm in ignorance, right? I got religion, I got all kinds of jazz, right? I got trauma, I got, self-esteem. I got lots of things going on in my life at 19. I feel rejection, abandonment, all this stuff.
No self-esteem.
No self-esteem.
You said
yes.
so, yeah.
And so I'm back in. I'm basically a stoner, a drug addict. And so I'm back in now in my, that's why I couldn't see it now because of where I was on the ladder, Jacob's ladder. But things were going to change for me. I just didn't know this yet.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. And then he began to tell me that my presence is me in the present, just as he told Moses, I am. And so I had to begin to recognize this whole thing of the present. In order to experience his presence, I had to recognize where he is. Quit looking for him in heaven somewhere where I've been taught. Recognize heaven as a state of being in him and begin to recognize him.
Yeah.
So then I had this experience in my 30s. Fast forward from 19, I'm in my 30s somewhere, mid 30s, I think. One night I have a dream, and I'm sitting on the side of the road in these bleachers with a bunch of other Christians. And I look, and here on the other side of the road, I'm in Barrie, Ontario. I see on the other side of the road, I see John Brown and friends of mine, and we were going to the bar on Queen Street. I was 17 years old.
In the dream.
In the dream. I literally had traveled back in time and seen myself at 17 years old. I knew what I was thinking. I knew where I was going. I knew everything about how I felt. I was kind of shocked. And as I'm sitting there in my 30s now, I'm now a Christian, right?
Yeah.
And I'm observing me. I thought, man, I got to go and tell me what's going to happen, right? So I jump off the bleachers. I run to tell me, and I deked into this store, I guess, and I ran in behind me, and I woke up.
Crazy.
Yes. So God wanted me to see something, though, about me and about time.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you think about it, both were coexisting at the same time.
It was still going
It's not
on.
just a dream. I was there at 17.
You actually were.
Yes?
That was an actual event
Yes.
that had happened, but in your dream you went back to that event.
I went to the event, and I'm still
to tell,
very aware.
To tell you about your future
Yes.
events that were about to come.
And I'm fully aware, consciously, of being in my mid-30s,
It's crazy.
married with children, right? So it's like, like the Twilight Zone, like, God, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Then, why don't you tell the story about the dream you had with the hospital?
Yeah. Yeah, well, don't judge me. It's a little bit of a crazy dream, but a dream is a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I had this dream in 2012, and it had to do with time as well. In that day, I was listening to a lot of Justin Abraham stuff, and he was really breaking open timeline stuff and really bending your mind, making you think about
Gotta
things.
love that guy.
Yeah. So I have a dream. I get sucked up out of my body
Yeah.
and into the atmosphere, and I was being taken back in time. The reason I know I was going in time was my hair was all blowing forward, and I
Right.
was going at such a high velocity. I seen buildings just becoming a blur, and I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I going? So I'm
Isn't
going.
it cool how God does that? The hair thing?
Yeah.
So that you'll know.
I wouldn't have known,
Right,
But that was
that you're going
a
back in
strong
time.
impression. I'm going back in time.
Right.
And then I'm going over this one building, and I got dropped down into this building, and it was like a big old house, which was a hospital. And I went into this hospital building, and I'm standing in the hallway, and I'm looking around, and I look down the hall, and I see a nurse wearing the cap with one of the stripes across the top,
White
and-
with a
and
black
she's-
stripe,
and
right?
She's wearing a dress, so I'm standing there going, okay, well, I am back in time here, not in the way people are dressing now as nurses.
So it would be the 40s or the 50s, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say so. It's around there, maybe 50s.
Okay.
And then I see a curtain is pulled, and I hear weeping behind this curtain, and there's a family there, and there's a little boy behind the curtain, and I stepped in, and the family's all crying because he's got the death sentence on him. He's about to die. And I said, can I have a moment with him? And the family all stepped out very kindly, and I sat on the bed with this little boy, and he didn't speak English. It was like, I don't know if he was German or what, but he didn't speak my language. And so I prayed for him and said he was going to be okay. And so we sat there on this bed, and we started to play cards and something that we could do and communicate together. So I played with him a little bit and with a game and what have you. And then he laid down, went to sleep. I walked out. I said to the family, don't worry, he's going to be fine. And they went in there, and he was like sitting up on the bed, and they were like, wow. And they were crying. And anyways, and this nurse is kind of looking at me. And then, so I get sucked up,
back
Okay.
home.
Well, no, I got sucked up
Right.
and I continued on going back in time,
Oh,
and I land on a planet. I'm just putting this in here because this was part of the dream. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I now? And I see a little animal pop up from behind a rock. And I'm like looking around. It was pretty desolate, but there was life there. And it was red. Everything was red. I'm like, and I'm just kind of observing and looking around. And then, that lasted for however long in the dream. And then I got sucked again. And I started going forward like I was heading home because my hair was blowing
the opposite.
the opposite way. So I'm going that direction. And I was just like pondering this whatever planet, which I found later was probably Mars because it's red, and
Yeah.
I didn't know then. So as I'm heading back home full of all this excitement, I'm going back over that hospital. I thought I have to stop in and check in on the little boy.
Yeah.
Down I go back into this hospital building,
Mm.
and I'm in the hallway, and I see that nurse, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, well, where's the little boy? And she's like shaking her head. She's going, I'm sorry. He's gone. I said, excuse me? She said, he's gone. I said, oh, I don't think so. And I found him behind another curtain, and he was supposedly dead.
Yeah.
And I just walked over and said, oh, no. You're not doing this, and called him back to life.
Yeah.
He came back to life and was sitting there smiling at me. I walked out, and the nurse looked at me, and I said, it's not as you suppose. I said he was just sleeping. He was just sleeping. And then the family was all ecstatic again and what have you. So that was my journey in time dream. But I got to say, as I thought about that dream later on, wouldn't it be crazy if that was an actual event I went to and went back in history? This is really stretching your brain. Prayed for this person that's a real person somewhere. And
Now,
how would I ever know?
he'd be, if he was in his 6, he'd be a little bit older than you.
Like, isn't that wild
Yeah.
to really like go, whoa, what if?
Hey, that's what I mean. There's a lot we don't understand,
We
isn't
don't.
there?
But that was a wild dream.
That was beautiful, man. Beautiful. It shows you, again, about this whole thing and how it seems to coexist at the same time as you're here. Because you're having a dream in the night, but you're going there.
Yeah.
This is the part people have tried to understand. And for me, it's like, it was like that because after the car accident, I was obsessed with
Right.
time. I've watched every movie probably that has ever been made, and I kid you not, on time.
Yeah. Oh, I just need
Yeah.
to interject there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
When I left that room, I was sucked back up. Hair went back the direction. I headed
Oh.
back home. I landed at home, and I said, Johnny, you got to jump on my back, man. I got to show you how to do this. It's not hard to time travel.
It's not hard to time
It
travel.
isn't hard. I'm going to show you. Come with me.
Mm.
And then we were taking off together.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm done.
That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So time, we want to understand timelines in the relevance of the past, the present, and the future are now. They're a persistent, stubborn, I think he said, Einstein, delusion. Because God said, I am. So what does that mean? You know? So another couple of things I seen was my son, Matt. I went to work one morning, and all of a sudden, I seen Sue giving birth to my son. And when he came out of the womb, he was 4 years old and dressed. And he had blonde hair.
That was to save us money.
What? What? What?
Because he came out at 4.
Oh, we jumped all the diapers, right?
That's right.
No, we didn't.
Right.
But do you see? And by the time he was 4, he looked exactly like my dream. So I seen him at 4 years old. And it just hit me from the left side, like I was working. I didn't remember. And all of a sudden, bang, it just hits me. And I went, oh my gosh, last night I seen my son. And sure enough, that's what he looked like when he was 4. And so then a year or two later, I hear this little girl calling me, and I'm thinking, what the heck? I mean, literally awake, and I hear her calling me, and I begin to see her, and it's like this little girl from Little House on the Prairie with the long brown hair, little tiny thing. And so then I thought, well, I don't know. And so we had 2 kids. We were happy. We thought we were only going to have 1 because of all the battle you went through to have her. And so I went to Sue and I said, Sue, I had this crazy thing happening. And you said, yeah, I know. I hear her too. So Sue was hearing her too, calling us.
Yeah.
So here's this little girl calling us from another realm. And sure enough, we have a 3rd child, and she looks like the little girl on Little House on the Prairie when she was little, with long brown hair.
And we had to count a big cost
And we paid
to get her here.
Yes, you did. You did.
That's
Paid
a whole other
mess.
story.
That's
But
another
anyways,
day.
That's another lifetime ago.
Yeah. But again, we're talking about seeing something that already is before. Do you see this? This wasn't seeing a prophetic thing for the future. We were seeing literally what already existed. Right? It just hadn't manifested in front of us yet, but it was all there. So then, one night, I had this dream, and I seen this man, and he was the head of an organization, and it was in a rally. It was a religious organization. He was in a rally, and he was very controlling, and he was doing some things, corrupted things from behind the scenes, and I knew he was going to do something that was going to hurt a lot of people, and I was worried about it. And the next thing I know, I was traveling back in time, and I went back to where he was a child, and I recognized him, and I went up to this little child, and I told him about the future and said not to make a decision like this in the future because it was going to hurt a lot of people, and that I just made him aware. And I'm talking, when I went back, he might have been like 6 or 7 years old. And then when I went back, I seen the man, and he was totally different. And he seen me in the crowd, and he remembered me, that I'd come to him as a child. And he was a total different person.
Wow.
So what that was telling me was that things in the past can change the future. So what if, like a child in a womb that's being created, a lot goes on in there before the baby comes out of the womb and you see it. And Jesus called this a womb. So what if there are things going on, such as Jesus comes to me in 1978. He time travels to me in 1978, and he completely changes my life. I'm 23. He blows my mind. He literally is speaking to me, changes me, and it's like he throws a stone into a pond and there's ripples going through time. Because everybody I'm going to talk to or come in contact with from that point on of 23, it now has changed. Before that, I was somebody else. But now I had this whole thing on me of time. I had this whole thing on me of life, of love, this liquid love I talk about. I have all these things happening to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people have got to know. Now, I didn't know that I had to go through a deconstruction of religious mindsets, but I realized what he did. And I've thought about this many times because he changed the future by speaking to me in a bathroom in 1978.
Exactly. Yes, you did.
So the guy of that religious organization, did I speak to him as a child? Did you go to that hospital and touch that child? And is he alive today?
I know.
And what does heaven look like on the 7th day? If all these things are going on the planet that we're totally unaware of because we're ignorant to them, Is God molding and shaping in the womb of creation because Adam is asleep within the womb and he's shaping by time traveling and using the sons of God to awaken and bring about the birth of a new earth and a new heaven. Is God, the creator, busy doing these things? Good question.
Good question.
So, what if the end is the beginning? Like the seventh day, the reconciliation of all things in the future, which is now, called heaven. All things playing out at once in the present, past, present, and future, as I'm seated in the heavenly places in Christ. What is that? On the seventh day already, right? So when I awake from the sleep, I find myself in the beginning as one in sacred unity, complete, as Father created all in love, like a baby finally being born from the womb of being created. Where? In the darkness. In the darkness. It's the greatest love story ever. And we're trying to understand time and we're trying to understand all these things, and they're going on behind the scenes in the light.
Look the other way.
Look the other way. What do you see?
It may not be as you suppose.
No.
Parallel universes.
Parallel universes. Right here in the midst of us.
Yeah.
So frequency and vibration has levels of perception in hearing and seeing. We call them dimensions. Think of it like this, a dog whistle. You blow the dog whistle and the dog's reacting and none of us hear it. It's just a picture.
Yeah.
There's things going on around us. We aren't seeing them and hearing them. Doesn't mean they're not there. It doesn't mean they're not as solid and real as this. It's like a musical scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right? It's like a musical scale. It's like the Lord showed me one time. He said lightning and thunder. He said, what do you think thunder is? He said, it's slowed down sound that the lightning made. You see the lightning, but it doesn't make a sound. And then a little while later, you hear the sound.
Yes.
So thunder is just the sound the lightning made.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear it when it happened. Progressive light. God has called us into progressive light. What if we're living all moments at once? This is just John's crazy thinking now, this phrase, okay?
You're allowed to think.
Yeah, just to ponder, okay? I'm pondering a thought. What if we're all living all moments at once, but only conscious of the moment we're in, then it is our awareness, then that it is on the journey, but the future's already happened because the light has already happened before the sound of the thunder and the slowed down. I'm an echo of a future reality, right? I'm an echo, the sound of a future reality that's already happened when God said, let it be.
Yeah.
Right? Let there be light. And so I'm I'm on this journey, but the future's already happened because it was all created for you and me to wake up, to love, and to choose it by passing through the contrasts to love. What isn't and what we're not. What isn't and what we're not is what we're going through as we come into the seventh day, the eighth new beginnings, the covenant that the Father made with us while we were asleep in the darkness, ignorant of how great he is and what he did. We're going on a far journey to a place nearby, and once we're there, we'll realize we've actually been here all along. We had a little nap in the afternoon, and this is what happened.
Yeah.
Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Remember, perfect is the seventh day, the fullness of the day. It's just language. He's telling us something here. Paul's saying something. So then look at Mark 9:2. You ready? After 6 days, come on. The seventh day comes, right? After 6 days, Yeshua takes with him Peter, Jacob, and John, where he brings them up a high mountain. What's that? That's Jacob's ladder. That's the mountain Moses climbed. This is the revelation of this journey. He takes them up a high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. He showed them immortality. He showed them who he was, the God of creation. He showed them when? After the 6 days. If you continue the 6 days, you too will see the transfigured Christ. You will see him as you climb the mountain of God. Zion, come up here. We've been hearing the Lord say it for years. Come up here. And transformed and transfigured, he said, we'll be transformed. What? The renewing of our minds. Transformed and transfigured are the same. On the seventh day, the seventh step, resurrection, immortality. Immortality. This is what God has called us to do, to awaken to these things. The Gospel of Philip, and I'm almost finished, says, those who say that the Lord first died and then was resurrected, and he's one of the 12, he said, you're wrong. For he was first resurrected, then he died. If someone has not been resurrected, that means to climb the mountain, to go to the seventh day. They can only die. If they've already been resurrected, they're alive as God is alive. He's giving us keys, codes in the Bible. If we're willing to go here and understand, like I said, God is in the present right now. Right now.
Yes.
Quit trying to be good enough. You are good enough. This has all been a journey within our minds as our minds are being renewed, as we're being taken up the mountain to see the transfigured, immortal God, the Father, in our midst. That's what God's doing. I mean, if this doesn't get you just a little bit drunk, I don't know whatever will, because this is good stuff.
I just want to read this one before we're finished.
Yep.
I don't know if I wrote this, because if I did, my God, it's good.
That's what I mean. That's the way
I must have written this down from some quote. But anyways, it says, we gaze into one another's eyes, the Lord, and behold each other in the pause of the dance. So we move with purpose of intimacy and not just movement.
That's so good.
Isn't that good?
That's really good.
Man, that's worth printing.
Yeah, that's worth printing, that one, yes.
I like
It
that.
had to have been him.
It's really good to go back through your journals and go, wow, I didn't write that?
Yeah.
That's really cool, eh?
That is very good. Say that one more time.
We gaze into one another's eyes and behold each other in the pause of the dance. So we move with purpose of intimacy and not just movement.
Wow. And that's all about him and you.
Yeah.
That's the journey.
That's the journey.
Yeah. There was something you said in that. I got to get it again. It was just so good. Like, you better read it again, the beginning of that, because there was something really good there.
We gaze into one another's eyes and behold each other.
There it is. It's not the same when you behold things on earth, you see them. But when you behold things In the divine realm, you become them. That's what behold means. To behold him is to become like him. Whew! That's what that's about. That's what the intimacy's for. To wake us up to who we really are as immortal divine beings, sons of the living God.
In the dance of life.
In the dance of life.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so good, man.
Yeah.
How long ago did you write that?
05?
05, and we didn't read that. I didn't
What
read
was
that.
wrong with me?
I don't know. That was so. It's timing. Everything's timing.
Well, it must have been good at the time because, man, it's really good now.
Oh man, that has matured like fine wine. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'm drinking that one.
The pause of the dance. Yeah.
And you can feel it, like two lovers
Yes.
pausing
Oh, I can
and
see it.
gazing in each other's eyes, right?
Like Lexi does.
Like Lexi does, right? Yeah. I see you.
So you move with the purpose of intimacy and not just with movement,
Right.
which we
Oh,
do.
We do
We
a lot
can
of
just
movements.
go through life, through
Yes.
movements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man.
I'll stop milking that one, but it was good.
Oh, I don't know. I might milk that one for a while. It's a great drink. I'm just like getting a little wrecked on that one. Hey.
And I'm sorry, I don't have a name down like somebody else wrote it. So I guess I did.
Yeah.
I'll take the credit.
Okay. He gave it to you. So, and with this,
Okay.
I don't know if I should. That was so good.
Don't ruin it.
Okay. That's a lot to live up to. The Matrix is living in the past or the future, which is not the present. This is what the Matrix really is. Where the Lord is, as he is not in time, but his presence is him in the present. To live above is in spirit and is in the present where he is. It's where the reality of who you really are is found. This is the dance in the intimacy, right? You are not the experiences you've had in the past or the projected past into the future, but you are a son of God and have an awareness of I am and love, not even the genetics of carnal bloodline, but the very DNA of Christ himself. That's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful, eh?
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is.
It's a beautiful thing to fall into the hands of the living God.
It is. Very good. So, if anybody has any questions or comments, we will take a moment and then close up another Monday night.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. I think we're good.
Okay.
So bless everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, I am in Christ right now in the dance. In the dance. Beholding as in a mirror. But then, face to face, I will know. On that mountain, the seventh day, as I've been known. Where I went when I was 23.
Yeah.
Before I came back in and am now finding my way back to the seventh day. Bless you guys. Have a great night.
Night, y'all.
Good night. Y'all come back now here.